for the ultimate source of inspiration, knowledge, and entertainment, look no further. Network Kingdom is a unique platform that brings together experts from various industries. Through networking and collaboration, we create inspiring conversations that educate, entertain, and motivate our listeners. Whether you're a business professional, an entrepreneur, or simply someone looking to grow their knowledge base.
Hello, people. I have my good friend here with me today. I don't know what part of the world she is because she's everywhere. Hi, Viviana. It's so good to have you here today.
Hi, Hamu. It's very good for me. A pleasure to be here. And hello, everyone.
So what part of the world are you today?
So I'm in Europe. I'm in Italy. A few days ago, I was in Malta. So I'm between these two countries for sure at the moment. But then finally, we are back to in person after kind of three years of being stuck due to COVID. So I'm actually, if everyone is requesting me somewhere, I would say I'm going. So.
I'm going to jump into your bag so that I can do all these trips with you.
I'm also very hope to meet you soon in person.
I'm sure my listeners are curious to know who you are and what you do. Can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So actually this seems easy, but some also difficult questions for people to understand what I'm doing. No, just kidding. So what I do, I have my company, it's called Global Mindset Development, and we do intercultural management, cultural and religious diversity training and consultancy. So we help people from different cultures and different nationalities working together, communicate better, and thrive. And this is who I am. So I am someone who wants people to connect, to be able to respect each other, communicate effectively, understanding that we are different, but our differences need to be used to thrive, as your podcast is saying, and not to actually generate conflict or misunderstandings.
Wow. I know you were in America some months ago as well, and it's all work.
Yes, exactly. It was also a very interesting project because it was a program for entrepreneurs where the idea was I'm kind of a young entrepreneur in the sense that my company it's young. And so the idea is a program of the European Union. So being European, it's also it's a privilege for also the funds and the opportunities that there are available. So the program is actually having young entrepreneurs working for more structured and experienced organizations. So I was there thanks to this program. I was hosted by an organization, and they do e-learning, education through their platform for promoting social skills, entrepreneurial skills. And the idea was to help them with my contact, with my experience, my expertise, my knowledge, but also to learn from them, especially how to manage a business in the education and the training sector.
Oh, wow. That sounds really interesting. So I know that you live in Malta and you are, by birth, you're Italian, right?
Yes, exactly.
So that means you get to try to understand and learn different cultures.
Yes, that's true. But my work is not only based on the personal experience, that for sure helps, because of course I have firsthand experience of the cultural differences. And it's funny because Malta and Italy, they're very close geographically, but actually they're very different in terms of cultures, because Italy, it's Italy, and Malta is an ex-British colony with also Mediterranean influences. And Italy is also diverse in terms of like the north and the south and the center of Italy. So they are geographically close, but they are still different. But in my work, I also bring my expertise because my PhD was in sociology of migration. So I also have a, like, say, hard knowledge of all the topics from a sociological and anthropological point of view. And let's say I mix this together with my personal experience of being an Italian in Malta. And Malta is also, I know you were there, so you know, it's also very small, but very multicultural. So you can easily find people from all over the world in Malta. It's very small. And so your interaction are constantly with cultural diversity and religious diversity and different backgrounds. So this is also part of my daily life.
So when you get into these corporations, do they have to have like diverse kind of staff, like staff from different cultures, or are you just training the existing staff to prepare them to meet different cultures?
So in most of the cases, they already have, and they are already working in different countries, or they have employees from different cultures. So what I'm saying is that in some cases, when they call me, it's too late because they didn't recognize the cultural differences in advance. And so maybe there is a situation of conflict, there is a situation of misunderstandings, there are like rumors or frustrations. So what is happening now more and more, companies are requesting my courses in leadership training, even if the company is homogeneous at the moment, with the idea that in any case, leaders should have a global mindset. So should be able to work across cultures and across differences.
And that's very important now, because I keep saying to people that the world has become a global village. There are no barriers anymore. So, I mean, nobody's going to not being European is not an excuse not to know what to do. Not being Italian is not an excuse. Not being Nigerian is not an excuse.
Exactly.
You're just expected to know, just generally blend. So that's amazing. Have you always done this? How did you get, I mean, what was the driving force? How did you find yourself here?
Absolutely. So I started actually my work in Italy, even if also they are working with migrants, and especially what we call second generations. So that is kind of a sociological term for saying like people who have parents that comes from a different background, and they were born in Italy or grew up in Italy. And that was my first experience working from a research and academic perspective. But then I always needed also more the like field work. So I work with schools, I work with associations, and this is also what I bring in my training. So there is kind of the academic component. So everything is also based on hard knowledge, but at the same time, we always try to be very very practical and very also concrete in what we discuss with companies, with organizations. And then when I moved to Malta, I found, what I know, it can really be useful for everyone. And so in Malta, I'm working with, I'm based in Malta and now I'm working globally, because also this was also what happened, because during COVID, and then the need for this kind of training is not only Maltese or Italian or Nigerian, but it's very global. So the idea was schools can benefit from helping children and teachers to have a global mindset. Companies can benefit to have a global mindset. NGOs can benefit of having a global mindset. So, and this is how it started. So it was kind of my passion. It was also my background, and I transformed this in a social enterprise. So doing well for doing good also, and helping people while having a business.
I'm looking at you and I'm seeing this powerful CEO, jet setting, traveling, and it seems so easy. But we all know that as entrepreneurs, it certainly isn't easy.
Absolutely.
But I also know that you have done extremely well. So, I mean, I want to know, how did you get here? What were the challenges you faced?
Absolutely, as you said, and sometimes also the way we show ourselves, of course, in social media. And I'm passionate about what I'm doing, so also I'm happy on what I'm doing. But as you said, there are challenges that comes with being a CEO, an entrepreneur, and I think one is also that you are, or the risk is that you are alone and you feel lonely in doing this. And this is why I always say, like, your network, your support network is extremely important. And sometimes you do not have your support network in your family or in your friends because they want to protect you. And the entrepreneur is actually the one who risks many things. And so maybe they are the one who say, no, don't do this, like, do something else. Why you don't have like another kind of job? And like, we met in BNI, and for me, BNI and this kind of professional network were great support, because I found people like myself with the same challenges, or maybe from like many more years in business, that became really mentor for me, even without an official, let's say, title of mentoring me. But watching at them, like looking at them, was for me, okay, I can learn from these people, and I want to learn. And I think the other challenge is also work-life balance. And I think also we can like relate on this, because again, we are passionate about what we are doing. So it is work, but it's not really work. It's like our mission in life. And no, you also have to have your time of, you relax, you detox, or you stop watching at like LinkedIn, or look at LinkedIn, or your emails, and you also take time for yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you cope with how many languages do you speak?
I speak 4 languages, but yeah, mostly like let's say Latin. There are Italian, English, Portuguese, and Spanish. And I started learning Maltese, but it is an Arabic language in Latin characters. So I have a very basic knowledge of Maltese. I have to tell the truth.
Wow. Because I'm just wondering, knowing how to speak several languages must have also been a plus in your area of specialty.
Yes, it is. And also because I think at least try to understand that also language reflects culture and vice versa. So it's not only that you know the language, but you also understand through the language also that culture and those values. And for example, like the differences in communication, English is very straightforward, while Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese are actually, you underline things, you use a lot of like sub-sentences. And this helped me a lot also to understand like the mindset, the way we communicate, the way we say no, the way we say yes. And sometimes even if you do not learn like deeply the language, understanding a little bit like the way that the sentence instructor, or what are the terms that are used, it can be really useful in a country. And also then the other thing is like I'm not an English, like my mother tongue is not English. But even when you speak English and English is your native language, you know that if you're going to the US, maybe there are like different words. If you go to use like to the UK, also like English is the same, but maybe there are like different words, a different way of communicating. So language is extremely important, but again, it's more also about the mindset of using the language to understand the culture. I think it's key.
What would you say is your biggest challenge having to, I mean, you've done your training in America a few months ago, then you were back in Malta, and now you're in Italy. What would you say is your biggest challenge moving from one culture to another for you personally? Mm-hmm. And considering that that's your background, one would expect that it should just be normal and a free flow for you. But what would you say is your biggest challenge?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly this. It's to be overconfident. Like, this is my work, this is my lifestyle. So I'm totally pro in like adjusting and adapting to the different cultures, and then actually found yourself, you know what? This is still a cultural shock for me in the US. And my recent experience in the US was really I knew everything and still happened. I was like, okay, I know this. So why it's frustrating me? Like, I already know it. And so I always suggest also.
Share the experience. I want to hear. Share the experience. I want to hear the experience.
So I know, for example, and then they say it depends also on the city in the US where you go, but we know like New York is extremely demanding as a city, is extremely challenging, and is extremely competitive. And I came there like with my naive approach, is like, oh, people will help me because I don't know, I'm coming from outside, I'm doing something that I love. And no, actually, people are extremely competitive. They see you as a competitor. They're very protective about anything, like their contacts and everything. So, and also we coming from the Mediterranean country, but I think also from some African countries, it's like we spend time together, we share about our personal life, we became friends. It's not the same in the US. It's like they trust you because you do business in a good way, because you deliver the task. They don't have to come have dinner with you or lunch with you. So the personal and the professional life are very separate. So I think I have to like keep reminding this to myself. And so again, find people that can support me, that were actually not linked to my work, but still being in business.
So you had to think twice before expecting to go for dinner with anyone.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. So, like before we wrap up, we had said the world had become a global village, and everyone kind of works or is exposed to working in different cultures. What would be the tips you would give anyone who is, because we're all online now and we're mixing with different people. What would be the tips you would give anyone who is dealing with multicultural clients or companies, or generally exposed to different cultures?
Yeah, I think what is key is really, again, not be so arrogant to think that your way of doing things is the only one. Your culture is the best, and everyone has to, let's say, follow what you do. Because again, this is exactly what is key in working across culture, is like, I have my way of doing business, I have my point of view, I have my perspective, but what's your, and how actually we can understand each other and maybe mediate. I have an idea, you have an idea. I don't fight because my idea is right, because again, in a global war, maybe we need my idea and your idea to generate a new idea that is better. So, and I think I know we are people that are very proud of our own culture. We want to always, like, if we think about Italy, I always say to my clients, you think that the made in Italy, like everyone will love the made in Italy, everyone wants something Italian. But if you do not communicate with cultural sensitivity, like respecting the culture, understanding your clients, it doesn't matter if it is made in Italy, they will not buy. So you have to be aware of that.
Awesome. That's very important. And, and we, if you're not conscious of it, everyone just thinks that their culture is the best.
Yes, exactly.
So if you're not conscious, find that you're actually imposing your culture on other people.
Exactly.
That's true. I mean, for instance, in Nigeria, we're very big on respect. And I remember when my son was much younger, when we travel, I'm like, no, you can't say hello to me. I'm much older than you. And he would say to me, but when you're in England, I see little children saying hello to you and you don't complain.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Yeah, they're very small things. Yeah, they are. Exactly.
Yeah. You understand that. So that's amazing. And I'm really happy. I'd like for you to come back and still talk about this culture thing, because now more than ever before, we have all become one. 3 years ago, we wouldn't have been on here. Just 3 years ago.
Exactly. And I think also,
thank you so much.
Important. Sorry, just to close on this. Even if you think it doesn't matter what happened in other parts of the world, think about COVID. Like, it seems so far away, and then everyone was actually involved. And so we all are connected, and we cannot escape, let's say, of this like connection in the positive or negative.
Yeah. If nothing else opened our eyes to that, COVID certainly did.
Exactly. Thank you for having me. It was great.
So guys, we need to keep up on this multicultural discussion, because I mean, if you're like me, I love traveling. And aside from traveling, everyone is online, doing business online, mixing with people from different cultures. And you want to communicate seamlessly. You also want to do business across borders seamlessly. And there's no way you can actually do that effectively without learning how to communicate with different cultures, without rubbing them off wrongly. So if I were you, I'll be hitting up Viviana. Viviana, do you work with only corporations, or do you work with individuals as well?
No, like I work with not only corporations. So I also work with like professionals. For example, I did a course for like real estate agents, like individuals, because they want to understand how to do and work with different clients. I work with schools, I work with organizations. So you don't have to be a corporate to work with me.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you so much, Vivian.
Thank you.
I've had an amazing time.
Thank you for having me.
Hey guys, you heard it from me. I'm out.
You've been listening to Network Kingdom with Omu Obulor. Remember, if you cannot see where you're going, ask someone who has been there before.